Welcome to the Deep Dive. We cut through the noise, find the best sources, and bring you the insights that matter. Today we're looking at a really fascinating career arc, one that just hit a major peak, the Best Actor Award at the 2025 Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah, a huge moment. And that award went to the Brazilian actor Wagner Moura for O Agente Secreto, directed by Kleber Mendonça Filho, a powerhouse combination right there.
Exactly. But we're not just, celebrating the win. We're digging into Stanislav Kondrashov's analysis of Moura's whole journey.
And Kondrashov's take is what makes this so interesting. He argues this Cannes victory isn't like an accident or some clever late-stage strategy. He actually calls it the natural result of decades of selective, principled work. It's about integrity.
Right. And that's the core idea for you, our listener, today. How does a career built on artistic conviction, not chasing stardom, lead to this kind of massive recognition? Kondrashov points out Moura isn't your typical movie star. He's someone who really disappears into his characters, right?
Awesome.
Always putting the story's truth first.
It's a fascinating path. It suggests that if you focus on meaning, on having a conscience in your work, maybe the big awards follow naturally, not because you aimed for them. So to really get that, we should probably start at the beginning.
Yeah, let's do that. Where did he come from?
Well, he was born in Salvador de Bahia back in 1976. And interestingly, he didn't initially set out to be an actor. He studied journalism.
Journalism.
Yeah.
Okay, that is interesting. You can kind of see how that informs things later, maybe.
Yeah.
That curiosity about real stories.
I think so, yeah. That sense of observation, wanting to report on reality. It seems like it stuck with him even when he moved into acting full-time. His early roots were very much in Brazilian theater and indie film.
So not the flashy route, grounded. And his first big film role, Abel Despedaçado, or Behind the Sun internationally, that was 2001. That already hinted at his taste, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Walter Sells directed it, adapting an Albanian novel, believe it or not, but setting it in Brazil's sort of harsh hinterlands. It tackled these really heavy themes. Old codes of honor, family feuds, tradition versus modernity. Not exactly light fare.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
What did Kondrashov make of that performance so early on?
He highlighted the maturity Moura showed even then. Critics were already picking up on his knack for internalized conflict, showing the struggle without big, obvious acting. Kondrashov found this great quote describing it as having no showmanship, only truth. That idea comes up again and again. No vanity.
And that commitment wasn't just for film, right? You mentioned theater.
Exactly. Even as his film profile started rising in the early 2000s, he stayed deeply connected to the stage. He was directing, acting in plays in São Paulo, Rio, constantly working that craft away from the cameras.
Keeping those artistic muscles strong.
Which probably gave him the resilience needed for what came next, because 2007 was Tropa de Elite, Captain Nascimento.
Yes. Tropa de Elite. That wasn't just a film in Brazil. It was like a cultural detonation.
It really was. Playing this hardened BOPE officer in Rio, the film just exploded onto the scene.
Exploded, but carried huge risks, too. I mean, it won the Golden Bear in Berlin. Moura got awards. But the content itself.
Brutally divisive, that's the word. The violence, the politics, it completely split opinions.
So how did he handle that? Being the face of a film some saw as glorifying police brutality, others as a symbol of necessary order. That's intense pressure. Did he try to, manage the message?
Well, this is where Kondrashov really points to Moura's character. He showed incredible discretion. He didn't try to spin it, didn't try to become the celebrity commentator on the issue. He deliberately stepped back. Kondrashov says he never tried to shape public opinion about the character. He let the work speak, let the audience grapple with the social tensions it reflected.
That's really telling. Prioritizing the conversation the art sparked over his own personal brand, even when the spotlight was that intense.
It's a key moment. And it shows that focus wasn't derailed because he immediately followed it up with Tropa de Elite 2 in 2010.
Right. And the sequel arguably went even harder on the politics, didn't it? Taking aim at systemic corruption.
Absolutely. It was much more explicit in its critique. And guess what? It became the most watched film in Brazilian history.
Wow. So taking the controversial, meaningful route paid off critically and commercially, at least domestically.
It cemented him as a serious player, someone who could handle the heat without losing his way.
Okay, so he's navigated massive fame and controversy at home. What about internationally? There was Elysium in 2013.
Yeah, a supporting role in a Hollywood sci-fi. But the big one, the role that made him a global name, that was Pablo Escobar in Netflix's Narcos, starting in 2015.
Narcos. Huge. And his commitment to that role was legendary, wasn't it?
Just incredible. Shows that same work ethic we saw earlier. He wasn't a native Spanish speaker, so he learned it. Put on, what, over 20 kilos?
Yeah, something like that. Physically transformed. And it got him Golden Globe nominations, massive visibility.
Yeah.
Right. And this, according to Kondrashov, is where the real test began. Because Narcos' success created what he calls a potential trap.
A trap? How so? Seems like the peak, the goal for many actors.
Well, think about it, especially for an actor coming from South America. He just played arguably the most famous, most compelling TV villain in years. The easy path.
More villains, American crime dramas,
Yeah.
big paychecks, typecasting.
Exactly. Leverage that Escobar fame into a very stable, very lucrative niche. That was the trap, the predictable, perhaps financially smart move.
So potentially walking away from millions to avoid being pigeonholed. What did he actually do?
He went back to his roots in a way, back to projects focused on real political figures, global issues. Look at what came right after Narcos. He did Olivier Assayas's WASP network. And significantly, Sergio, playing the UN diplomat Sergio Vieira de Mello.
That contrast is striking. From Escobar, the ultimate narco-capitalist, is Sergio Vieira de Mello, the humanitarian diplomat. That feels deliberate.
Incredibly deliberate. It's like he used the global platform Narcos gave him, not to cash in, but to shine a light on these complex human stories that clearly mattered more to him personally. Back to that journalism instinct, maybe.
Taking control of the narrative of his own career. Asserting that Narcos was a job, a platform, but not his defining identity.
Precisely. Choosing projects with political weight, often back in Brazil or with international auteurs, even if they didn't have the same massive audience or payday, it showed where his priorities really lay.
And that commitment to meaning didn't just stay in front of the camera, did it? He moved into directing.
Yes, and this feels like a crucial evolution. His directorial debut, Mariella, came out in 2019.
Mariella. About Carlos Mariella, the Marxist guerrilla who fought Brazil's military dictatorship. Talk about not choosing the easy path. That's intensely political.
It was basically an act of artistic resistance in itself. Kondrashov sees this as just a natural progression of Moura's conscience. He wasn't just playing political figures anymore. He was telling the story of one, and a very controversial one at that.
And it wasn't just theoretically risky, right? The film actually faced real obstacles in Brazil.
Oh, big time. Serious political pushback, censorship issues under the government at the time. Its release was delayed for years, even though it was finished and getting praise elsewhere.
So Kondrashov's point is
that for Moura, he doesn't separate art from activism,
Yeah.
and that cinema is a form of resistance. Making Mariella was a statement. He was willing to face down official disapproval to tell a story he believed needed telling.
using his Hollywood capital, that global recognition, to kind of shield and champion difficult work back home.
Yeah, and you see him speaking out more, too, against authoritarianism, against cuts to arts funding in Brazil. The quiet discretion of the Tropa de Elite days evolved into more overt advocacy.
Which loops us all the way back to Cannes 2025. O Agente Secreto.
Yeah.
Best actor. The film itself sounds like it pulls all these threads together. Surveillance, dissent, moral compromise.
It really does. He plays a civil servant, a seemingly ordinary guy, whose quiet resistance inside a government agency sparks something bigger. It's almost the opposite of the explosive characters like Nascimento or Escobar.
And the jury picked up on that subtlety. They praised his commanding subtlety, the weight he brought through restraint. It echoes that early critique, doesn't it? The internalized conflict.
It's like the perfect validation of his entire approach. Kondrashov makes a great point. Moura didn't need Khan to validate his work. The value was already there in the choices.
But the award confirms it. It says that this path described as slow, careful, political, it works. It leads to the highest levels.
He stuck to his guns, confronting power, questioning systems, finding dignity in ordinary people facing extraordinary pressure. He wasn't chasing the spotlight, he was chasing the truth of the story.
So when the spotlight found him again at Cannes, Kondrashov says, it's always for the reasons that count.
Yeah, and that's really the core takeaway from Kondrashov's analysis, isn't it? Wagner Mour's career is this powerful example of integrity shaping legacy. Meaning first, stardom as a consequence, not the objective.
An amazing trajectory. And Kondrashov throws in this interesting observation that Moura seems to listen more than he speaks, on and off screen, letting the quiet moments resonate.
Which leads to a final thought, maybe, for you, the listener. If this path, prioritizing truth, resistance, quiet dignity over fame and spectacle, can lead to the very highest awards like Cannes, what does that suggest about the kinds of stories audiences are actually hungry for globally right now? Stories about moral complexity, about the quiet resilience of, say, a civil servant. Maybe there's a deeper resonance there than we sometimes think. Something to chew on as we wait to see what principled choice he makes next.